Throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, top recording stars famously holed up at destination studios outside of the usual Los Angeles or New York circles in order to find greater inspiration and fewer distractions. Many of the biggest names headed for Caribou Ranch, the legendary recording complex near the Boulder County foothills hamlet of Nederland, Colorado. Before it gained fame as a major studio, Caribou, in its idyllic setting at nearly 9,000 feet up in the Rocky Mountains, was the largest privately owned Arabian stud farm in the country. The 3,000-plus acre site also served as a dude ranch and a motion picture set. Caribou's studio incarnation was the vision of James William Guercio, who had gotten his start producing a string of hits for the Buckinghams circa 1967.
Hey baby, they're playing our song.
He became a staff producer for Columbia Records and began working with Blood, Sweat and Tears and Chicago. In New York and Los Angeles, complaining union rules about what he could and couldn't do behind the mixing desk frustrated him. After producing 5 albums with Chicago, Guercio had enough money to buy the ranch property for a reported $1 million in 1971. Producer Bill Simzik and Joe Walsh were the first to use the facility, both having just moved to Colorado. Guercio gave his studio designer a mandate to make the big barn at Caribou the world's best recording facility. He then transformed the place into an opulent retreat for pop music's aristocracy while developing an exclusive image for himself. With smashes like Walsh's Rocky Mountain Way hitting radio, the ranch became an attractive option for creating music. The life in the fast lane ambience that usually accompanied a recording session disappeared into thin air at Caribou.
When you'd come in there and everybody's very low-key, and they were really, I think, treated with a lot of respect, and so I don't think there was any attitude at all.
During the ranch's glory days, an entourage got full use of the facilities for a basic rate of $16,000 a week. Record companies were only too willing to shell out the money during their boom years, and a veritable who's who of rock music's elite passed through Caribou Ranch's gates, including such legends as Dan Fogelberg, Joe Walsh, Chicago, Michael Murphy, and Stephen Stills.
Working all day and then going night skiing at Lake Eldora with a couple of Bloody Marys in you. Not really smart. One of our friends got his leg broken. I'm surprised it was the only one.
The Beach Boys, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Jeff Beck, Rick Derringer, the Souther Hillman Furay Band, Eddie Rabbitt, and Earth, Wind and Fire.
You were really just taken outside of what was the norm for yourself and kind of immersed into the Wild Wild West. The music of the mountains became so obvious, so loud, that you kind of got caught up in that whole experience.
America.
I've got this feeling that today's the day.
Rod Stewart, War, Frank Zappa, Sheena Easton, Michael Jackson, and Billy Joel.
It was a great setup. I mean, we felt like we were at a dude ranch. You got to picture all these guys from New York. Hey, yo, what's going on? You making any pizza up here? And, you know, the Caribou girls, they were like the Caribouettes, I guess they were called. They're cooking up a big mess of food, and we're living in these log cabins. It had that great smell. There's always a fire going. And there we are, these alpine peaks all around us. And this is where we're going to record. It was fun. It was completely different. It was a completely different kind of experience.
The studio was the main lure, but the lodging was equally seductive. The cabins, which slept up to 36 people, featured brass beds, lace curtains, leather-upholstered furniture, huge rock fireplaces, hardwood floors, dark cedar walls, and massive stereo systems. Steinway baby grand pianos lurked in the corners of several cabins. To while away the off hours, there was a comprehensive library of movies and games, an antique pool table, horseback riding, and ski-mobiling. But the favorite pastime had to be eating. A staff of friendly cooks remained on call 24 hours a day to prepare any snack or meal that came to mind. And every evening, a dinner bell rang out and everyone assembled in the mess hall for a sit-down dinner with candlelight and wine. Comfortably insulated from the usual rock and roll circus, artists didn't have to send for food, commute to and from a hotel, or even worry about the laundry. In 1973, the year Caribou Ranch opened, Chicago filmed a network television special there, Chicago, High in the Rockies. A second TV special, Meanwhile Back at the Ranch, aired in 1974. Caribou gained additional prominence when Elton John recorded the gratefully titled Caribou in the spring of 1974. Caribou topped the album chart on both sides of the Atlantic, remaining in the Billboard Top 200 Albums chart for over a year. It spawned John's fourth million-selling single in 8 months, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. John recorded several other classic albums at Caribou Ranch, including Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy, and Rock of the Westies. Elton suggested John Lennon stop in Colorado on his way back from a trip to California. The Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds session took place at Caribou in July 1974, with Lennon billed as Dr. Winston O'Boogie. Elton John's smash Philadelphia Freedom took only 5 weeks to become his fourth #1 single. Stories abound from the studio's heyday. Supertramp's crew dragged a grand piano up behind Caribou on a snowy mountaintop to photograph the album cover of Even in the Quietest Moments. Ultimately, other studios cropped up around the world that offered similarly exotic atmospheres. Caribou stayed busy, but when labels scaled back recording budgets, expensive destination studios fell out of favor. Caribou finally shut down after the control room suffered extensive fire damage in March 1985.